GM, I often have the question on how to build a conviction. So today we are going to discuss about cake and like kind of like do a tutorial on how to just from an idea do some research and think like, okay, what, should I buy it or not? So first thing is like basically cake is one of the biggest DEX on Binance Smart Chain. Binance Smart Chain got like kind of like a very dry season since the beginning of I would say this cycle, because no much things have been like attract any like users, I would say. No meme coins, no agents, no DeFi, I would say it's just like all the users. But we had like CZ since like beginning of February starting tweeting about some initiative to kind of like push Binance Smart Chain, with like this meme coin liquidity pool. So of course it's very small, but we can see we have round one. I think he's testing the appetite here. Then he launched, he didn't launch, but like he kind of like pushed for people to launch a meme coin, then some upgrades, some network upgrades, which is pretty cool. Retweeting quite hard like everything about regarding like Binance Smart Chain, pushing a bit some stuff, retweeting one of the tweets about the fact that Pancake Swap, which is so basically the token linked to the token Cake, which is the biggest DEX on Binance Smart Chain, one of the biggest DEX on all EVM chain, hits like 1 trillion trading volume, which is huge. So that's interesting. And so then we go check the chart, which is basically the fact that the thing is down like horrible, like horrendously, like down 96%. And the other thing is like, so we had like a price-based capitulation and then a time-based capitulation. Since I would say 3 years, nothing has really happened. So I think if you know me since quite a long time, like we were very active, like, and we sold like a big chunks of our cake, like close to the top. It was a very cool one. But now can the thing like bounce back and kind of like, I don't know, at some point show some hype and get back to $10, $20. So that's the thing we are going to discuss. Another important chart is like, because Cake is linked to the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem, here we have the chart of Cake USDT compared to BNB USDT, because is it better to buy BNB or like Cake? So we can see that we have since, I would say, 3-4 years now, down, lower lows, I would say. But at some point, perhaps we can have a squeeze up and a strong overperformance of Cake. So that's why it's an interesting one to look at. And if we look in 12 hours, I think we had some kind of like here, some bounce stuff, or like, no, sorry, here, some pump, like I think on kind of like CZ tweets, if I'm not mistaken, but not really organic. So if we look at now the current market cap of Cake, we can see that the FDV is like at 900 million and the market cap is at 600 million. So it's definitely some inflation that we need to check out to see how hard it is. And we see the thing we can see is like at 1 billion, almost 1 billion FDV, it's not a small project, And if you look at the biggest competitor of Pancake, which is Uniswap, let's say one of the competitor, right, on EVM chain, it's sitting at 7 billion, FDV. So it's an interesting one, but you can see that it's very, very underperforming. So the first thing I would see here from that is like, I would not buy now, or like I would wait for it to be very hot to buy, because I don't know. I don't feel it's very like interesting to buy now and kind of like wait, because you could wait for like another year and nothing is happening. So I would rather stay in stable coins or like buy something else. So that's the thing. Then I think it's always interesting to get and go on the Twitter and like see how like the impressions, and get to kind of like understand a bit more like what they're doing, the IP, the thing they have cooked, I would say in the latest 3-6 months is. And try to see if they can like kind of like front run or like have some kind of like, I don't know, move that will basically make them like front run something or like surf a hype, like meme coin, like agent or anything. And we can see that we don't really have that here. So I don't know, I don't get that much like a hype just by reading there, but still it's interesting. Then another thing I really like to do is like go on Twitter and type Pancake Swap thread or Cake, the ticker thread, to see like some guys who have made like a bunch of research what they think about Cake, and get the most important tweet, So you can see some burn, that's interesting. Let's get more in details about that. I'm not a big fan of like buyback and burn. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense, but why not? Then we have some things, okay. But looking at that, you will definitely get some thread about Cake fundamentals, which is interesting. For example, a guy, Pancake Pug, so of course he's very biased, right? But he's doing something to compare to Uniswap and Radium. So yeah, and those kind of things are interesting to look at. If there is like, could be like not like a growth play. So like I buy Cake because I think they will have a bunch of growth, but more like a value play. Like I buy Cake because I think it's undervalued compared to something else. So of course these are like more advanced way of trading or investing by being like long Cake and short another asset. That's something very, I would say, hard to do, but why not? Let's check this one. Uni USDT, So this is like, of course, not financial advice. Everything I'm saying, it's just like thinking out loud. But you could have like some trade, you want to do like pair trades. Of course, here the chart looks very noisy, so it's a very bad one. So I would pass. But still, you can generate alpha of doing that, And then, so once you have done that, spending like 1-2 hours doing that, you basically, I think, for example, they are sharing some cool stuff. So yeah, for example, some Dune. Dune is a very good website to get some, I would say, feedbacks and everything. So here we have something regarding the token economics and the whole emission. So 40 cake per block. I remember the figure and like, okay, trying to understand, okay, the cake emission. So there is some inflation, it's putting some pressure on the price. But then also there is some deflationary mechanism. And yeah, it's definitely very interesting. And so basically you can check that, okay, total supply is going down since like almost a year. So of course it's going down very slowly, but this is something cool, and yeah, so just by doing that, then you have also link, you can basically check out to basically get more data and understand it better, And also it can give you like a bunch of ideas, on like, if you see that in other projects, stuff like that. So it's very, very cool. You can see like, yeah, okay, they don't distribute much compared to like what they burn. It's interesting. And then another cool website. So you have June. You have dozens of websites. I could list them all. I will list them all definitely. And then you have, for example, DeFi Llama. It's a cool one. Where if you go in categories, we check all the DEXs, and we have like Uniswap, Curve, Pancake, Radium. All these kind of guys. And then we are able to compare and see like, okay, just by checking at the volumes, what's happening, you can see that Pancake is definitely a big one. Then you have Radium and Uniswap, and then of course Orca, yeah, and then competition is very, very low, And so based off that, you can definitely look at the TVL, all these kind of like data points, and it will help you like basically build a conviction kind of, or not, For example, me personally, like on Cake, it's very hard for me to build a conviction, but I was happy that I've spent like few hours, and I really recommend you to spend few hours on like the ticker to basically do a small refresh on like BNB, Cake, utilities, also Binance Smart Chain, what has been done and everything, and really monitor that, because when CZ is tweeting, it's not for nothing, I would say. So definitely, and why not like monitoring CZ tweets a bit more closely, I would say. But hard time like for me to build a conviction, but definitely something I want to watch. And if like Binance Smart Chain season start off, I would be well positioned because I have like a lot of things in mind of like what to buy, what not to buy. So perhaps here the next step for me is like to look at all the tokens on Binance Smart Chain and try to rank them, be like, oh, this one, if like there is some hype on Binance Smart Chain, it would be very interesting, etc., etc. So yeah, that was it. That was your Quant, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to drop any comment, anything regarding that, and see you for another video or like in the next live.